Hello, Dr. Akram. Hello, Stephanie, if you're here, and hello, Dr. Palmer. It has been a pretty interesting week, and I need to apologize because my computer is broken. The cord broke first, and it actually burned and singed itself. Unfortunately, didn't do any damage to the computer, but the computer, I'm hoping it's a battery situation and that it's not fully charged. Non-essential, can't get the cord till May 8th, so I will take what it is and take the deduction, but I apologize to not be able to have the opportunity to provide both a PowerPoint for you as well as this conversation that I'm recording right now. So 1,000 apologies. I hope you're safe. I hope you're well. And I will just dive right into chapters 10 and chapters 11 of DAFT, the leadership experience. And again, we're going old school here, and it's kind of funny. I actually started recording with it facing me, the camera facing me, and I realized that all these fabulous words that you'll see were backwards. So this is actually take 2, which I seldom ever try to do. But going to chapter 10, we look at pages 302 and 303 of DAFT, and we look at the 5 stages of team development. And so I really hope that you can see this here. And again, I apologize if you can't. But when we are looking at the 5 stages of development, you know that they are forming, they are storming, norming, and then we have performing, and even though it's not adjourning, which would rhyme with all of the others, it's adjourning. And in the textbook, it really does very well explain these 5 stages. Again, forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. So when we look at forming, we're really looking at the time it takes for a group to orient itself to one another. And so quite often you're breaking the ice, and sometimes when you lead a new project or you have a new team, you orient them, you have training, building exercises, you have games, you have excuse me, you have all these activities to get individuals to get to know each other, interpret, understand a little bit about who they are, if they're introverts, if they're extroverts, and what their leadership style is really like. And so that really is kind of the honeymoon stage, so to speak, in the development of a team. Then you move on to number 2, which again is the storming. And this is really where you see individuals start to show more or less their true colors, who they are, the way in which they lead, the way in which they follow, their personalities. Are they negative individuals? Is the grass always greener on the other side? Or are they positive? Are they influential? And this is, again, at that stage, excuse me, where you do see conflict and where you do see disagreement. And really, this is where, as a leader, you have the ability to understand folks a little bit and start to clarify how you see them moving on in certain roles within the team, so to speak. And I'm so sorry for this cough. The third stage is actually norming, and this is where things kind of settle down, and as a leader you kind of know who's going to carry you, who's going to help you, who's going to assist you, who's really good at certain talents and skills, and everybody else who have other strong attributes, talents, and skills, and you learn how to normalize the tasks at hand and how to establish order and cohesion among your entire team. Next, we have performing, and this is really where the team comes together. They understand where they belong, for the most part, where their roles are, what their responsibilities are, and they're really at this time cooperating with each other. They're problem solving, and they're really working on the set goals and objectives of what has been set for the team. And then finally, adjourning is where the task is complete. And this is where everybody has been able to put their skills together and successfully, hopefully, complete the task that was set before them in with a team. Now, while those stages of team development are really easy in theory, there are a lot of things that get really complicated. And while in theory we want to follow all of these in order, I think it's important to note that storming, for example, which is the second stage, a leader has the ability to kind of work on those kinks, but there will always be dissent and arguments and ways in which a leader needs to successfully manage their team through conflicts and conflict resolution throughout the entire process of a team activity and throughout the entirety of having a team. Personalities usually don't change, and it's understanding how to manage those individuals and having those skills to discern. Now, when we go to chapter 11, and again, this is my imaginary PowerPoint, so I'm just very slowly going to show it to you. The question was to discuss ways in which, low power distance as a social value among followers could affect their interaction with leaders who display high power distance. And so what you can see here is that I actually attempted to highlight low power distance and high power distance, because these are really the two key words that are here and to be discussed with chapter 11. And so when we look at low power distance and high power distance, we clearly need to understand what this means. What are the definitions? So for people with low power distance, these are people who expect equality and they expect power. And the textbook in chapter 11 actually provides examples of countries of individuals who again expect this equality and power. And the examples they provided were Israel, Denmark, and Austria. Now, on the other hand, when we look at high power distance, we're looking at people who accept the fact that inequality and power there's inequality among institutions, organizations, individuals, groups of people. And again, in the textbook, they provide examples of countries where they have Malaysia, the Philippines, and Panama. So you can see that I've provided all the information here. Now, what I thought was really interesting about chapter 11 is, while the textbook provides examples of countries, I certainly think there are even more examples of looking at this socially among individuals, and in this example as questioned followers, leaders in their specific roles in society. And we look at low power distance, you could quite arguably state that right now in the United States, for example, we have a lot of individuals who are followers by nature, because that's what they are. They're not politicians, they're not leaders, but they're individuals in their respective country, in their respective state, in their respective city, in their respective town. And they believe in equality and they believe in power. And in New York City, we see this a lot. We have a lot of individuals who believe and expect equality and fairness. Now, when you go to high power and you think of leaders where they accept inequality, despite it all, some people aren't going to get everything. You can almost compare this, again, suggesting, comparing it to different forms of government where you have capitalism, you have socialism, you have communism, but again, different mindsets surrounding these things, where again, in high power, individuals who accept, who are like, the world isn't equal, everyone's unequal, life is unfair kind of mentality. And so when you have low power and high power people working or coexisting, so to speak, conflict will ensue. And I definitely think as Americans, as a society, we have different values and different ways of expressing ourselves and different expectations. And when you mix low power distance with high power distance, it almost is inevitable that there won't be unrest and that there won't be conflict because we're not all on the same page. And I think some of the examples they provided, one specifically Denmark, if you look at Denmark's political structure, and you look at the way in which taxes or payments are made, healthcare is issued, maternity leave is given, for the most part, they're all on board and they're all on the same page. We here as a country struggle with this because we're not all on the same page with universal healthcare and where people are on the spectrum in regards to that. So that's how I would answer chapter 11. And here's chapter 10. And thank you for bearing with me. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay well, and I will see you, God willing, next week. Bye-bye.